myself Padmaja. I welcome you to the today's session of problem solving using control flow statements in Python language. Now, let us start with the control flow statements in Python. Now, the flow statements or control flow statements are divided into three categories in Python. The first one is called the conditional statements, second category is called iterative statements, and the third category is called transfer statements. Now, if you look at the diagram, the flow control statements are divided into conditional, transfer, and iterative statements. Under conditional statements, we have simple if statement, if-else statement, if-else ladder, and nested if-else statement. Under transfer statements, we have break statement, continue statement, and pass statement. Now, under the iterative statements, we have for loop and while loop. Now, let us start with the conditional statements. In Python, a conditional statements act depend on whether the given condition is true or false. Now, conditional statements are always evaluated to be true or false. So, if the condition is true, then a particular statement or a block of statements are executed, and if the condition is false, then another block of statements are executed. So to write down the condition, we are using the four types of statements in Python. One is called the simple if statement, if-else, if-else, and nested if-else. Now, how to write down the syntax of if statement in Python? So, first of all, you have to write if followed by a condition, and at the end of if statement, you have to use a colon. That is the syntax used in Python. Then followed by, if this condition is true, then you can write down a number of statements. N number of statements can be written. So, if the condition is true, then n number of statements are executed. If the condition becomes false, then nothing is executed. Similarly, we have if-else statement, that if the condition is true, then what you have to do? If the condition is false, then what you need to do? So, if the condition is true, then single statement or a block of statements you can execute. If the condition is false, it will come to else part and it will execute another set of statements under the else block. Next category is called if-else ladder, where if number of conditions you need to test it, then you should go for if-else ladder. So, if the first condition is true, then we have to execute statement 1. If the first condition is false, then we have to go for checking the second condition. If the second condition is true, then we will execute statement number 2. If the second condition is false, then we will go for checking third condition, and so on. N number of conditions you can write and you can test it, and based on a particular condition is true, then that block of statement will be executed. If none of the conditions are true, then it will simply go to the last else part and it will execute some default statement which you have written in the else part. Now, the last category of statements under conditional statement is called nested if-else. So, nested if-else, nested means if within if is called nested if. So, you can write several levels of nesting inside one if you can write another if and third if and fourth if. Like that level of nesting you can do. There is no such restriction on the level of nesting. Now you can see here, if the outer condition is true, this outer condition is true, then it will go for checking the inner condition. If this inner condition is also true, then the statement in the inner if will be executed. Now, if the inner if is false but the outer if is true, then it will come to the else part and it will execute the statements which is there in the inner else part. Now, like that, if the condition is false, then it will come to else part and it will execute the else part of the outer if block. So, this is the way different types of conditional statements you can write in Python. Next is called iterative statement. Now, when you want to repeat a particular block of code multiple number of times, then normally iterative statements or loop control statements are used. So, in Python, iterative statements allows us to execute a block of code repeatedly until a condition is true. When the condition becomes false, we will come out of the block. So that's why these are also known as loop statements. So Python provides majorly two types of loop. One is called for loop, another one is called while loop. So in the for loop, we write down the syntax like this: for an element I in a particular sequence, and then we write down the body of the for loop. So in the body of the for loop, more than one statement or a block of statement which you want to repeat until that condition becomes true can be written. Similarly, while condition, the body of the loop. If this condition is true, then the body of the loop will be continuously repeated. If the condition becomes false, then it will come out of the loop. Then the third set of statements which is used under the control flow statement is called transfer statement, when you have to transfer the control. So under transfer statements, we have break statement, continue statement and pass statement. Now these transfer statements transfer the control or alter the program flow based on certain conditions. Now sometimes we need to break the loop based on a condition. Sometimes you have to repeat the loop from the beginning based on the continue statement, or sometimes you have to ignore it. So you can write down the pass statements. So the uses of these three statements are different. Okay. So today we are going to discuss a number of programs using this control flow statements. Now let us switch over to your idle, that is nothing but to execute our Python programs. We are using the idle, and let us switch over to that and execute a number of programs on control flow statements. Now here we are going to write our first program. The first program is program to print the result depending on profit. Now we will read the sales value and also read the expenses, and we will decide whether the seller has made profit or not. So first of all, let us go for reading the sales value. So let us take the sales value in float. So float input of enter sales amount. Now after reading the sales amount, let us go for reading the expenses. So let us take this expenses also in float. So we'll write down input of enter expenses. Now after reading the sales and expenses value, let us compute the profit value. So profit is equal to sales minus expenses. Okay, now let us write down a simple if condition that if the profit value is your greater than 10,000 colon, then we will write down some condition that you have made good profit. You have made good profit and congratulations. That means your business is running well. So just a number of statements we have written in the if block. Now, if the condition is false, then we will come to else block and let us write that you have done poor profit and work hard. Okay. Now, after writing this program, now my program is over. I have read the sales value and also the expenses value, and I am computing the profit. Now, if the profit is greater than 10,000, some condition I have written. If it is greater than 10,000, I am saying that it is a good profit. Otherwise, you have done a poor profit. Now, let us save this program and suppose it is if else program on profit loss. I have saved my program and then I will run the program. So it is asking me to enter the sales amount. Suppose my sales amount is 5,000 and expenses are 7,000. That means I have not done profit. It is a poor profit and I need to work hard. So this way, so let us copy paste this output. and paste it in your program. So I'm using 3 triple quotes here to paste the output. Now let us rerun this again with another test case. Suppose my sales amount is 15,000 and expenses are only, let us say it is 3,000. That means I have done profit which is greater than 10,000. So good profit and congratulations. So this is my first simple program where I am showing the 2 test cases based on the sales and expenses, whether the seller has made profit or loss. So this is the first program. Now let us move on to the another program. Now the second program is to compute or to find the expensive product among 3 products. So how to find which product is expensive? Let us first read the details regarding the price of the 3 products. So for reading the price of the 3 products, I can read the prices in a single line. So let me write here, enter the prices of 3 products. Okay. Now 3 prices I am going to read in a single line. So that's why I need to use the function split and I will split it. Now after splitting, the function, the values what you have written at the console are normally treated to be strings. So you need to convert each of the values into either float or integer. So let me convert. P1 is equal to int of P1. So the value of P1 is now converted into integer. Similarly, int of P2 and P3 is equal to int of P3. So the values are now converted into integer. So string to integer conversion took place. Now you have to write down the condition. If P1 is greater than P2 and if P1 is greater than P3. P1 is greater than P2 and P1 is greater than P3. Both the conditions are true. Then I will write the first product is expensive. First product is expensive. Okay. Now, otherwise, if P2 is greater than P3, P2 is greater than P3, then we'll write second product is expensive. If both the conditions are not true, then we'll go for the final else and we'll write print third product is expensive. So this way we have read the prices of 3 products and then we have made the comparison and then we are writing which product is expensive. Let us save the program and execute. So this is also if else program and let us run this. Now it is asking you to enter the prices of 3 products. Let us take 688, 579 and some 490. Okay. So you can see that the first product is expensive. So this is the way. So the 3 prices what you have given is read as string, then it is converting into integer and then it is comparing. So this is the first test case. Let us paste the output. Now let us go for another test case. Okay, now let us enter the prices of the 3 products. So here third product is expensive. So it is coming absolutely correct. So you can check 3 test cases minimum to check whether the first, second, third are correctly coming as expensive or not, and you can paste the output over here like this. So this is regarding the second program where you are checking the prices of the products. Now let us move on to the third program where let us make use of the and or operator. So here what you will do, read the salary of a person, okay, and using logical operators, okay, salary of a person, and display the type of employee, whether he is a middle level manager or a top level manager or a junior manager, using the logical operators. Okay, so for doing this program, first of all, you have to read the salary. So let us take salary is integer, for example, or you can take float also. So enter the salary. Now after reading the salary, let us check like this. If salary is less than is equal to 0, or if the salary is greater than equal to some 5 lakhs, okay, then let us write one statement that it is invalid salary. Just for checking I am writing. In real time it may not be true, but just for checking the OR operator is working or not, I am checking this. Okay. Similarly, I can write if salary is less than 5,000 or 50,000 and salary is greater than 0, it is more than 0 but less than 50,000, then print that you are working as a junior manager, for example. Similarly, if salary is greater than 50,000 and salary value is less than 1 lakh, then print that you are a middle level manager, and next, if salary is greater than 1 lakh and salary is less than 5 lakhs, then print that you are a top level manager or a senior manager. Right. So this way we have written the code using the simple if statements. Now let us run this code and check the condition. So in this program you have learned how to use and or the logical operators along with the if else. So let us run this code. So enter the salary. Suppose I am entering salary is 0. Then you are getting the output as invalid salary. This is the first test case. Okay. So let us paste this output. Let us go for the second test case. If I am giving the salary is 25,000, then I am getting that he is a junior manager. Yes, it is also coming correctly. So like that, 2-3 test cases you can run and you can check the output. Next, similarly, let us go for one more test case. Suppose I am giving the salary as 2 lakhs, then you are a senior manager. Yes. So it is absolutely working fine. So this is the way, these are the ways you can test the different test cases. Okay. Now let us move on to the next program. Now in the next program, let us print a table, multiplication table. So display multiplication table for any number. Right. So for that, first of all, you have to read a number. So let us read a number by writing int of input of enter a number. Now after reading the number, then what you have to do? Now the cycle for displaying the multiplication table will run for 10 times. Okay. So what we will do, we have to repeat the code, and so we will take a loop. So for I in, we'll use the range function that it will start from 1, it will run up to 11 and with a step of 1. Okay. Now, how to print it? The multiplication table, number, comma. We'll print the symbol, then I equals to, okay, num into I. This way, we will print the structure of the multiplication table. Okay. Now, if you want, you can just write down a message, table printed. Okay. Let us save this program. This is the multiplication table program, and let us run this. Now it is asking you to enter a number. Suppose my number is 7. Can you see here? So the multiplication table for 7 is displayed. This is a very simple and basic problem using the for loop. So here we have used the for loop to print the multiplication table of a number. Now let us go for another example. Let us go for a new file and write a program to print the sum of the series. Suppose the series is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus so on. This is the program we have to print. Okay. Now, so let us take initially sum is equal to 0. So sum is a built-in function. So I have taken sum underscore series, for example, is initially 0. Now, let us read a number that up to what number in the series you want to display the sum. So, int of input of enter the last number in the series. Okay. After entering the last number in the series, what you have to do? So, how to compute the sum? So, let us write down a loop because it is a repetitive process. So, for k in range of 1 comma num plus 1. Okay, it will run up to num times, number times, and num plus 1 is the stopping criteria. With a step of 1, obviously. If you do not write anything, it will be with a step of 1. So, sum underscore series is equal to sum underscore series plus k value. Okay. So, every time initially sum of series is 0, every time the k value is getting added, and it will be done repetitively till you reach to the last number. Now, let us print the message that what is the final sum. The sum is the final sum that you are going to display. Okay. Now, let us save the program. Sum of series and run it. Yes. Enter the last number in the series. Suppose the last number is 10. So, the sum of the series is what? So, here we have done one mistake, that the variable name is sum underscore series, because sum is a built-in function. So, sum underscore series is the variable name we have taken. So, let us rerun and check it. Suppose the last number is 10. So, the sum is 55. So, it is absolutely correct. So, you can check for one more test case. Let us save it and go for another test case. Suppose 1 to 5 I want to check. The sum is 15. Yes, it is absolutely working fine. So like that, you can check 2-3 test cases to ensure that your program is running properly. Let us move on to the next program. Let us move on to another program where we'll understand how to use a break statement. So in this program, read numbers and add it to total variable, add it to total until positive numbers are entered. Once a negative number is entered, then break it. So the question is to read a set of numbers one at a time till you are entering the positive numbers. The positive numbers should be summed up and you will store it into a variable called sum. When you will enter a negative number, then you should break the loop. Okay. So in the loop, we are going to add the positive numbers into a variable called total. Okay. This is the simplest problem where we will understand how to make use of break statement here. So for that, let us take initially one variable total is equal to 0. Let us write over here. So initially total is equal to 0. Now we have to read a number. So let us put a print statement over here. Print, enter positive integers to add and negative integer to break. Just this is a statement for reference, nothing else. So we will take a while loop which is always true. That means as we are going to break the loop, so let us take a infinite loop here. So while true. So first of all, read some amount. Okay. Let us take a variable called amount, int of input of enter amount. Now, if the amount is positive, so we can test that condition. If the amount is less than 0, which is if it is negative, then it should break. Otherwise, it should continue reading. Otherwise, what it has to do? So, total is equal to total plus amount it has to do. Right? Now, once the loop is breaked, then we should print what is the total amount so far. So, print total amount is the value of total. Okay. And then we have finished our task. So, this is a simple example of break. So, let us save this program. Break example. Now, let us run and check. So, enter positive numbers continuously so that it will go on adding to total, and whenever you will give a negative number to break the loop. So, enter some amount, suppose 500. Yes, then 400, then 300, then 800, then 200. Can you see that loop is continuously running? It is not coming out of the loop. Let us say give 100, but whenever I give minus 500, then the loop is breaked. And so far, what is the amount that has been accumulated into the variable total? That you can see that 500 plus 400, 900 plus 300, 1200 plus 800 is 2000 plus 200 and plus 100. It is total 2300. So this way, this simple break statement you can use for this program. So let us save this. Yes. So now we have copied our output over here. Now let us go for one more example of your break statement. Now normally break statements are used to terminate the loops. So how to terminate the loop? let us go for another example. Break statement to terminate the loop. Now, suppose I am writing for num in range of 11, 20. That means the start value is 11 and value is 20. Step is not provided means by default this step is 1. Now, we will go on printing the numbers. So, from 11 onwards, 11, 12, 13, 14, it will go on printing. Now, we will write down any condition. If the num is greater than 15, that means up to 15, it will print the numbers. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. When the number becomes greater than 15, then it should break the loop. Okay. Now, this is a simple example of using break. Let us test it, how it is working. Yes, you can see in this example that 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, when the number becomes 16, it is breaking the loop. Okay. So, because the print statement is before, that's why 16 is getting printed. So, that's why what we will do, we will remove this print statement and we will keep it after this. Now, we will see that 16 should not be printed. Let us run it again. So, you can see that now exactly 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is printed because the print statement is below the condition. So, this way we can use our break statement. Similarly, if you want to continue the loop, you can continue also. For example, let us write another program over here that uses of continue statement. Let us take a loop for I in range of 1, 21, with a step of suppose 2. Okay. Now, with a step of 2 means only odd numbers are getting printed. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. It is printed like this. Okay. Now, let us write down a condition that if I becomes 15, when I becomes 15, then it should continue. Okay. Then it should continue. Otherwise, normally the number should be printed. So, print your I value. This is a simple program. So, you can see that 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13 it will be printing. But when I becomes 15, it will skip that iteration and go to the beginning again. So, again 17, 19 will be printed except 15. Okay. Now, let us save this program by writing continue and run it. So, you can see over here except 15 everything is there because when I has become 15 it has continued to the beginning of the loop. It has transferred its control to the beginning of the loop. So, it has skipped that 15 over here. Now, if I will instead of your continue, if I will write here a break, then the loop will be break after 13. So, let us save it and check it that how to use a break. So, you can see here that it is break after 13. Similarly, if instead of this, if I write a pass statement, then nothing happens. Simply it is passed. Okay. So, 15, 17, 19, everything I am getting. So, this is the usage of break, continue and pass. Okay. So, pass will simply transfer the control. Now, let us go for one more example. Now, let us go for how to read the numbers, positive numbers. Write a program to add positive numbers until user enters a 0. So, similar example, initially suppose total is equal to 0 and let us take a flag. Flag is equal to initially false. And while not flag means what? While true. So you can write here while true also. If while true, the loop is an infinite loop. While true, then what you have to do? We will read some amount. Int of input of enter amount. If it is positive, if amount is less than 0, then what you have to do? Then print you have entered negative amount. Okay. So what is that negative amount that you have printed? So you just print this message and write continue over there. Otherwise, if you have given amount is equal to 0, exactly 0, then make the flag true. Else, add the amount to the total. So total is equal to total plus amount. Okay. Now, after the loop, let us write down print total amount is variable name is total. So here, this is the example of continue. So we are reading the amount over here. If it is less than 0, then we are printing the message you have entered a negative amount and continue the loop. Otherwise, if it is 0, then flag is equal to your true. So here, instead of true, we will write down not flag. Then it will be better so that it can break the loop. Otherwise, amount is equal, total amount is equal to total plus amount value. So let us run this. Enter amount. Suppose I am entering 500. So it is adding, it is a positive amount. So it is adding to total amount. Suppose I am entering 100. So it is showing me you have entered a negative amount and continue. Suppose I am providing 600. So it's a positive amount. It is taking. If I am entering positive amounts, it is taking. If I enter any negative amount, it is showing you have entered a negative amount. If I enter a 0, then you can see that it is coming out of the loop because the while loop is false and it is showing me the total amount is so far it is 1600. So paste this output in your program. So we have gone for different test cases and we have checked the program. So this is the way you can write the control flow statements in your for writing different applications or different programs. In this video, we have learned what are the control flow statements used in Python, followed by we have executed a number of programs using if-else statement, nested if-else, then loops, for loop and while loop, followed by the transfer statements, break, continue and pass statement. Thank you so much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.